Welcome to Mind Your Business. I am Amma Duncan. I'm a corporate trainer, business coach, and founder of the Fabulous Woman Network. On Tuesdays, I host Mind Your Business on YouTube at 12 noon GMT so that I can talk about business. I love talking, number one, and I love talking about business. I also love inviting other people to come and share about business. I am very, very passionate about seeing an Africa in which women in business are empowered to create wealth and impact people. And I believe that through business, we can actually achieve this vision. And so this is why I do what I do. Today, I have the amazing pleasure of inviting and speaking to a very wonderful woman in the Fabulous Woman Network. Her name is Britta Ofori-Kuragu. She's a very lovely woman. And I'm going to read her bio. So when I'm done, she talks to us. And I really know that you benefit from this. Let me warn you before I read her bio. She's going to be talking about children, raising children and all that. And she'll mention the Y word, yelling. If you're like me, then you know that we are in trouble when it comes to this whole yelling thing, because we know it's not good, but sometimes it gets that result, you know what I mean? But there is another way out, and Britta really educates us on things like that. So it's really exciting for me, even though I know I'm at fault when it comes to parenting and yelling and all that, but it's good. I'm really happy about this. So let's listen to who Britta is. Britta is a purposeful parenting practitioner, coach, and mentor. And her mission is to support mothers with a childhood rooted in adversity to reclaim their power so that they can live and thrive in their purpose, uniqueness, and creativity while creating a peaceful home that empowers their children to do the same. Britta has a 7-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter who each have a business centered around their unique interests. They have their businesses 4 years and 7 years. Britta is a firm believer in the idea that in order for mothers to nurture their children to thrive and be their authentic selves, it's important to cultivate a relationship with their children based on trust, mutual respect, a deep sense of connection, and collaboration. This woman is really amazing and lovely. I do hope you enjoy this interview. Not only that, I hope you get some nuggets that will be of value to your parenting now or perhaps in the future. Let's head over. Okay, Britta, it is such a pleasure to finally have the opportunity to interview you. I'm so, so grateful. You know, the hoops and loops I had to go through to get this interview. I mean, I don't know if you've ever cried and laughed at the same time, but this was me a few minutes ago. And I am just so grateful that this is possible. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me, Amma. I've always admired you from a distance. And so when you asked if we could do this, I said, of course, why not? So thank you for having me. And I love that it's on my birthday evening as well. So
I know. Happy birthday. I don't know how the Holy Spirit planned this one, but you know he's like that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm excited to see everything we're going to be talking about here. Everything we're going to be talking about, and I know you to be an amazing host, so I feel great already. So let's do this.
Oh, thank you. And I know everything is going to go perfectly. So first, we are going to start by you telling us a bit more about what you do. You know, when I saw Purposeful Parenting Practitioner, of course, by God's grace, because I've been to school for some, I've done some schooling, I know that. Yeah, definitely. I know what it's about, but please educate us. What is it that you do? What does that involve, really?
Okay, that's a really good question, Amma. Thank you for that. So I don't know anybody else who's a purposeful parenting practitioner. I coined the term myself. Yay! It's a unique one. However, it's a culmination of all my experiences and my journey and the knowledge I've gained so far, the ups and the downs and everything else I've worked through in my life and my education as well. That's what brought me to this pivotal moment of what I call a purposeful parenting practitioner. So basically what I do is support mothers to develop their self-awareness, because I believe that it's important to have that self-awareness, like know our triggers, know how to regulate and manage our emotions in order to relate to our children. Also, I equip mothers with the tools to develop a deep sense of connection with their children, because I believe that if we nurture and cultivate deep trust and a sense of connection with their children, we have a relationship where they'll be able to come to us, and we will be able to influence them. So I always say it's always connection over coercion. So rather than forcing our children and, being harsh and constantly firm on them and all of that, we're going to get into that a bit later, because we know sometimes the African way. But yes.
Or what? Hey, we are having a conversation and it's like you're saying all the bad stuff I've been doing.
Oh, no, not at all. Listen, we've all been guilty with the yelling. For me, it was the yelling especially. And I had to really work on myself to be able to manage that. And I love that I'm able to support mothers to do that as well. And then I also support mothers to identify their children's unique interests, so that they can nurture them and then possibly even create an enterprise or a business around that. So then it's not forced. It's something the children absolutely love to do already. And we're teaching them, and guiding them on nurturing key entrepreneurial skills. So it doesn't mean that your child is going to be a business person in the future. It just means that they're acquiring key skills through creativity to be able to pivot in life and know that they can build an enterprise around whatever their interests evolve to be in the future. And I think it's a really important skill to have. So in summary, that's basically what being a purposeful practitioner is about. I do it for myself and my children, and I support other mothers to do the same.
Yeah, and we are going to talk about your star children very soon. But before that, I'm really interested in your own childhood and how that made you decide to go into this. And by the way, you're a Ghanaian, right?
Of course. Hey.
Fancy accent.
Oh, I don't know about the fancy accent. I actually speak 3 Ghanaian languages. Okay, my dad.
I am embarrassed because I can fancy and a little bit of tree.
Oh, really? No, that's still great. That's amazing. I speak Ga fluently. I speak Ga Dang Mikrobo fluently, and I speak Tree.
The only Ga I remember is Onushishi or something.
Yeah. Do you understand? Onushishi.
Yeah, you understand exactly. Onushishi. All right. So that's really interesting. So tell us about your childhood and what led to you being this passionate about helping children and of course mothers as well.
Right. So I was a real daddy's girl growing up. Okay. Whenever you see my daddy, you see me. We were like joined at the hip. Right. So I was saying I was a real daddy's girl growing up. However, at a very early age, I realized that my mom and dad didn't like each other very much. And this is not to air my dirty linen in public, but it's more about raising awareness, so we realize how much of an impact our adult relationships and our marriages and the way we relate to our spouses have an impact on our children. So I think around about the age of 4 or 5, I noticed that what I didn't know then was that I was in the midst of domestic violence. Mommy and daddy didn't like each other. So we're just before 6. And like I said, I was a daddy's girl, but dad made the decision to just up and leave mom and I. And I was my mom's only child. Okay, so dad left, he just left a letter that I later on read at the age of 6, and it was a really sad one. So trying to grasp what had happened at the age of about, just before 6 years old, it was a lot. And imagine being a daddy's girl. He was there once and they're not there anymore. It was really difficult. And I'm not going to go deep into details about what happened subsequently, but I do know, looking back now, that my mom probably sunk into depression. I think she became extremely anxious. She became extremely stressed. We had to move house. She had to start from scratch. She lost all her money. So life became really, really difficult for us. And sometimes we didn't even have food to eat, So she had a really good job that she had to leave so she could take care of me, because we literally had nobody and nothing. So in the end, to cut a very long story short, I realized how much of an impact everything that had gone on with my dad was having on her, and inadvertently, she was taking it out on me. So whenever I fell out of line or I misbehaved, it was the constant yelling and the beatings, And so that wasn't pleasant, but that's the accepted way of disciplining children at home, right? It's the constant yelling, and then the hitting as well. We just think that instills discipline. However, knowing what I know now, I know it strips children of their self-esteem and confidence. It strips them of their inner compass. They can't even listen to their own intuition anymore. It affects them psychologically, emotionally, and all of that. So that is what I have kind of channeled into the work that I want to support mothers to do now. So following on, so much drama and trauma happened, but that is just, I'm going according to, like the first few years of my life, and age 6 was quite pivotal. And I think between the ages of 6 and 13 was quite pivotal. In the end, I had to relocate and join my dad. He came back into my life when I was about 14. So I joined him in Denmark. We relocated to Australia. I came back to Ghana, then moved to the UK. So I've had to travel around a fair bit. So there's a lot of instability in my life as well. So, and a lot of insecurity. So it's all of that. It's all encompassing in the work that I do now.
I see. That's really interesting. And I admire your strength, this process that you went through. I mean, 6-year-old is quite harsh, but then you didn't let that experience go to waste. You are actually using it to help other people. God bless you for this.
Oh, thank you, my darling. But that's what we're here for. The thing is that it's not to apportion blame, because my mom is one of the most amazing, kindest, phenomenal women you ever meet. Oh. It's just that when she was going through her challenges and trials and tribulations, she didn't have the tools and the support and the resources to do things any differently. And I feel that impacted me. So that if I have the opportunity now to help make a difference, that's what we're here to do. To just try and figure out where we can make a difference. And I feel this is my calling.
Yeah. And so now, by God's grace, you have your own 2 children. They are stars. You have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they are already stars, appearing in newspapers and all that. Please tell us about them.
All right. Okay. So my son, Prince, is 7. He has a little enterprise called Plush Play Soap by Prince. So he basically makes solid hand wash soap. Okay. So solid hand wash soap with dinosaur toys inside them. Oh. Dinosaur, unicorn, and tropical fish toys inside them. This all came about because one day we decided to spend quality time together. And we said, what can we do, you know, to bond? And I went on the internet and we looked at jewelry making. What else did we do? Pottery. And then we had a look at soap making. And he said, Mommy, do you think we can put soap? Went on to YouTube. We have dinosaurs all over the house. Like, you step on dinosaurs when you're walking down the stairs and you're like, ouch. If you think Lego is painful, you have not stepped on a dinosaur. So yeah, so I said, why not? I thought it was a bit of a far-fetched idea, but I said, why not? So I ordered the things we needed, and one lovely Saturday we created our very first soap shaped like an egg with the dinosaur inside it, one of its kind. And I thought, this is brilliant.
Was it big?
We went to church the next.
Was it big?
It's actually the size of an egg. It's the size of a real egg. Yeah. So it encourages children to wash their hands because the children want to get to the toy inside it. You know.
I love that.
So if you're washing their hands, Princess Soaps, I'll send you photos of them later. Princess Soaps can encourage children to wash their hands. So the next day was a Sunday, and we decided to take one of the soaps to junior church, what we call Sunday school in Ghana. So we go to the local Methodist church here, and we took the soap to junior church, and the children happened to do some hand painting as an activity at church. And afterwards they needed to wash their hands, and we produced the soap and they washed their hands, and everybody was so excited, like, can we order some? Can we order some? We're like, we've only just created this. And so I said to Prince, listen, it looks like there's a demand for this. So it means you're going to start an enterprise of your own. I'm going to support you through it. What do you think? So we had discussions about it. I created the label, we got the packaging, and by the time we realized, we actually sent samples to friends, some of his friends. We got feedback from them saying it's amazing. So then we started selling. So at the age of about 4.5, we were setting up stalls at gift and craft fairs, and he was actually selling the soaps to the public.
This was not recently.
No, this actually started when he was 4.5, between 4.5 to 5.
Oh my goodness!
So, so this was way before the pandemic and everything. So it was actually the pandemic that stifled our growth, because we had to put the stuff on Etsy. You know, Etsy, the online shop for people to order online. But before then, we would set up at gift and craft fairs, and people will buy the physical product from us at the stall. Yeah, so
wow.
So that's how a journalist said, oh my goodness, what you're doing is incredible. But round about the same time, Verity came along, right? And Verity was 2 years old, and on her second birthday, she got her first ever doll. It was a beautiful black doll with gorgeous afro hair.
Oh.
And not long after, she named the doll Baby Verity, and she said the doll looked so much like her. And bear in mind, looking back now, our daughter Verity is an incredibly articulate girl. So she actually said, Baby Verity, and then she said, it looks like me. She looks like me.
Yeah.
And around the same time as well, my best friend, who's Caucasian, who's white, she goes out of her way to teach her children about diversity and inclusion and all of that. She was lamenting to me about how she went to the local shops and she couldn't find a black doll for her children. So again, we had the discussion, and I realized there's actually a need for this doll, you know. So that became part of Verity's, that became the thing for Verity's business. That's how Verity's business came along. But I'll backtrack a little bit. At the age of about 18 months, I would notice Verity will go into my jewelry box and turn it inside out, upside down, and just scatter everything everywhere. And she will find my dangling earrings, like this gorgeous one you're wearing, and mine as well, and it'll be hanging in her hair, right? Hanging in her 2 or 3 times. And I noticed that I figured out that she probably wanted hair accessories. So I went onto YouTube and learned how to make hair bows with African fabric. And she absolutely loved them. She stopped going into my jewelry box after that. And whenever we went out, everybody would say, oh, we love this, how can we get this? And we're like, we created it ourselves. So it coincided with the whole Baby Verity doll thing, and we'll make accessories for the doll's hair as well. So that's how Verity's business came about. And she actually named the doll Baby Verity. So if you go online, her doll is called
Baby Verity. So this story about your daughter and your son, it's also amazing. And I'm going to ask you shortly to educate parents like me. I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I know they are very artistic as well. So far, they are not monetizing their talent yet, but I know the time will come, and I know I can learn some tips from you. But tell me about this book you wrote with 100 other, I believe they are Blacks as well, and the book is called Letters to...
Love Letters to My Girls.
So yes, what's the concept? Tell me about this book and why it is so, please.
Okay, so at the beginning of February 2020, an opportunity came up for me to be a co-author, and of this book. It was this woman, amazing woman called Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon. She has a publishing house. She's just a phenomenal visionary. And she had this vision to have, because of all the issues of race that was coming up at the time. At that time, the George Floyd situation hadn't even happened. However, there's like the Ahmaud Arbery, the gentleman who was shot in America. He was just going jogging and then he was shot in the back. All of those horror stories coming out of America in terms of how Black people are treated. Anyway, so she had this brilliant idea to put together a project and write in a book, bringing together 100+ women to speak to the beauty, essence, vulnerability, and value of Black women and girls, because we have certain unique and sometimes unspoken challenges. I know that at home in Africa, we're the majority, so we might not see the value of this. But being out here in the West, when it feels like you're the minority and it feels like you're constantly having to be hyper vigilant and, you're constantly, shall I say anxious, but you're concerned about yourself and your loved ones in terms of the microaggressions and the racism and how you're treated. So Dr. Sharita Weatherspoon thought, she looked at her daughter and thought it would be great to have something like a resource and a guide for her from so many women. So when she's going through tough times, she would know she's going to be okay. So then this opportunity opened itself up to me, and I thought, what am I going to write about? And I thought, of course, I'm going to write about the fact that our childhood experiences affect us as adults, and, in line with purposeful parenting, it was just to write a letter to say, I see you, I hear you, I know that you're trying to do your best for your children, and I acknowledge that. So that was the angle that I took with my letter.
Yeah, I've read that. I haven't read the entire book, but your letter, and I think it's really beautiful. And yes, you are right about the fact that we being in Africa, we are the majority, and there's nothing like race here. We have other issues, but race is not one of them. But I think that these days...
Well, probably except South Africa, where there's been apartheid and all of that.
Exactly,
so,
exactly.
But like Ghana, for instance, it's pretty good.
Exactly. But then with all the conversations going on with the Floyd and a few others, these days, to be honest, it's been a while since I even watched the news, because sometimes it gets really, really depressing. But I think that we are becoming more aware of these things that our sisters and brothers in other places are facing. So yeah, it's really good that we have such conversations. And you know, for us too, a lot of us desire to come and live abroad and all. So it's good that we know these are some of the things that are happening. So when we come, we actually understand and know how to navigate them. So I think what you ladies did is amazing. And I'm going to add the link to that book into the caption as well, so people can have access to it.
Thank you so much. I must add as well, Amma, before we continue, that it's not all about race. It's also things about giving women hope, you know, telling you not to doubt yourself. So there are various aspects of the book that talk about be bold, be brave, be courageous, you know, have faith, you're valuable, you're worthy. So it speaks to all of those elements as well, from the perspective of a Black woman.
Fantastic.
You know,
fantastic. Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. So you promised to teach us women in business some tips, tricks, you know, something to help us work better. You know, in the Fabulous Woman community, we really, really want to empower ourselves so we can create wealth and impact people. Tell us what you got for us.
Right, Amma. So this is probably something really simple, but for me, it makes a huge difference. My phone and the voice recorder.
Okay.
Because I have Prince's stuff to think of, I have Verity's stuff to think of, I have my stuff to think of, and then as a woman as well, we have 1,000,001 things to juggle. I personally love not just the voice recorder on the phone, but the Notes app on the iPhone. I discovered that you can just go into the Notes app and speak into it, and it transcribes it for you. And when I discovered that, it was a life-changing moment. Because you don't need a pen and a paper. You don't even need to type anything. You just speak into it, and then it transcribes it for you. So whenever you're ready, whether it's content you need for, you know, your social media, or it's reminders you need to set, or appointments, or whatever, you speak into it and it does it. It's probably ancient news for so many people, but for me, I only found out probably about 2 months ago, and it's been revolutionary. So I thought I am going to share this, and I hope it helps somebody else who doesn't know.
I know it will help someone, especially for writers. You know, so a few of my clients are trying to write books, and they talk about how ideas come to them when they are not ready to write, and it's so beautiful in their heads until they sit down to write. And so I was suggesting, why don't you record? And so for you to say this, you're actually confirming it, because then as it comes to you, you are recording. So it's like a brain dump. And then when you're ready, you sit, and then so it's a brilliant idea. And you are so right. It sounds so simple, but not everyone is doing it. So thank you for sharing. And you're also going to have to, we are wrapping up now, but please, you have to share a tip or two to help parents like me, young mothers, young fathers who may be watching as well. How do we get our kids to be stars, you know, in terms of whatever it is they're doing, especially in the space of entrepreneurship? What can you share with us that can help us too?
That's such a brilliant question. Thank you so much for that. I think that we have to give our children room to be curious, okay, and give them the opportunity, because through curiosity comes creativity as well, you know. And this notion that we've always had of children should be seen and not heard. Let's give our children the opportunity to express themselves. Children have brilliant ideas, but sometimes as adults, we think we know it all, but that is not the case. Like, for instance, if I decided not to listen to Prince with the whole dinosaur suggestion, we wouldn't be here. Do you see what I mean? If I decided, oh, Verity called the doll baby Verity doll, so what? It wouldn't be her brand. So children they are not trying to please anybody. They are genuine. They come whole as they are. And so we need to make it a point. And when they bring ideas and we give them the opportunity to speak, we need to make sure we don't shut them down. We need to encourage them to express themselves, try new things, ask for their feedback as well, because sometimes we like to impose rather than work collaboratively with our children. So ask for their ideas and you'll be amazed as to the things they will come up with. And also, in our family, we have family meetings every Sunday evening. That has been really life-changing for us. You know, you sit together, try and figure out what your values are as a family, what it is you aspire to work towards, and all of that builds trust within the family, and the children know to speak up. You know, so for me, I know I've repeated speak up, give the children the opportunity to speak up a lot, because it's so important.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
that is the key. Give them the chance to speak up and listen to them and tell them that is such a brilliant idea. Tell me more. You know, and give them the opportunity to try new things. The other thing as well is that let's try not to live through our children, because sometimes we feel like our children have to be a doctor, they have to be a lawyer, they have to be an engineer, they have to be whatever else that society thinks that is a, you know, this is a prominent position and it's a prominent job and I want my child to be or do that. Our children, let's just allow them to be authentic. They're still young, and try various things with our support. So I have a book, as you know, the ebook called Raising Young Entrepreneurs. It sums up my journey with Prince and Verity right from the onset, and it gives conscious and intentional parenting tools as well, like the whole yelling situation. I believe that if you're constantly yelling, it's okay, don't cover your eyes, we're all guilty.
All right, Britta, thank you so much for those tips. It really hit me right here. I needed to hear those. And as you were speaking, I was thinking, okay, you know what? I need to call Paris. I'm not home right now. I need to call her and then make amends and then, you know, do a few things. And I promise to do less of yelling. I'll do my best.
It's all right. I trust you.
So before we wrap up, I have a few questions. They are fill in the blank questions. I ask and then you tell me what comes to mind, but in short phrases or a sentence. So the first question or the first sentence is, if I could advise my younger self in one short sentence, I would say,
I'll say, stay true to yourself. Be true to yourself and trust the process. Because through the process is your unfolding and your becoming. So just trust the process.
I love that. And that's so true. Okay, the second one is, I am fabulous because...
I am fabulous because I don't think my past defines me. I think that I turn my wounds into wisdom and support other women to do the same.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Did you come up with that yourself? I turn my wounds into wisdom, or is that a thing that people say? Can I quote you?
Well, no, actually, I think Oprah has said something along those lines as well before. Okay. I think Maya Angelou's and Oprah's have said something along those lines. However, the entire sentence as I strung it was original.
I love it, totally. And the final one is, one book that has greatly helped me in business is...
There are quite a few. So Simon Sinek, Start with the Why. Because when you start with the why, then you can, it's like the skeleton and then you can build the meat on it. Starting with the why gives you purpose, and then you always come back to the why, and it helps to keep you focused.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great choice. So tell us, in your business, so you have the ebook and then you have the book that you wrote with 100 other women, you have Verity's, and then Prince's business. Oh my goodness, I don't even know how you do it. Is there any other exciting thing happening in your business right now that you would want us to be a part of, that we should know?
Okay, so the main thing, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but I actually have a mini course called the Yell less and stress less mini course.
Oh, it has my name on it. Oh my goodness, tell me more.
So basically, it's just a mini course. It's about 60 minutes to 80 minutes, I believe.
Okay.
It's an online course, so you don't have to, it's nothing, it's online, so you work through it at your own pace.
Okay.
So it goes through things like self-awareness. So you when what makes you really ticked off, and it kind of it prompts you to pause. It helps you to learn things like pausing before you react or respond to your child's behavior, being mindful in the moment before you respond, because a lot of the time we're very reactive.
Yeah.
When we spot the misbehavior, then we're going in and we think we need to teach them the lesson right in the moment, and that's what sets us off.
Yeah.
Whereas if you pause, you can ask yourself a few questions like, is my reaction based on my ego? Have I communicated my needs, what the child needs to do clearly to them? You can ask yourself a few questions before you respond to your child's behavior. Yeah. And then also it touches on, things like reparenting yourself. Because until you are able to learn to be compassionate with yourself and manage your emotions and your triggers, you cannot do that with your child. Yeah. So then you love yourself. Things like self-care and self-love comes in as well. So then you pour into yourself, and then you'll be able to pour into your children. So it goes step by step through it. And at the end of the course, there's a mini transformation, and you have some tools that will equip you to be a more purposeful, intentional, and conscious parent.
Right. So where do we find this course, please?
It's actually, I will send you the link as well. I believe I've actually sent it to you already.
Yes.
It's called the Yell Less and Stress Less mini course, and it can be purchased online. It is $47. You ask yourself, this investment, what will it mean to me to invest in something like that? If I'm going to improve my relationship with my child, it will reduce my yelling episodes, and my children would trust me, respect me a lot more. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to share that, and I need to commit to taking this course in this quarter. I need to do that.
Bless you.
I
think you're doing great. I think you're doing great already, Amma.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You've been an amazing, guest. That's the word I'm looking for. You know what? People watching may not know this, but we've had challenges upon challenges with the internet and all that. But by God's grace, we've been able to finish, and I'm so happy.
We did it.
Yes, we did it. So thank you so much. And I'm going to add all the links that you've mentioned so people can check you out as well. I wish you the very, very best. And please come home to Ghana soon. Let's see those.
Thank you so much, Amma. I can't wait. Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to come home. As a matter of fact, in 2018, my dad passed away. May he rest in peace. And I came home with my husband, and the children came home for the first time. And since then, they've always said, I want to go home. I want to go home. Why are we here? Can we go home? Can we go home? They absolutely love it there. Even though Verity was still breastfeeding at the time, she believes she remembers everything. So she's like, I want to go back home. And Prince is like, can we go home now? So yes, we can't wait to be home, and we'll make it a point to see you when we come. You're amazing. Thank you for your fabulousness. You're doing amazing things in Ghana. You're so appreciated and you're loved.
Thank you. Oh, this is really nice. God bless you. And we'll stay in touch and do some more stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. So good to see you. I just took a little selfie.
I told you this woman is amazing, didn't I? I really hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. And you have no idea how challenging and also beautiful it was to go through this interview with the lights going off or internet going off at one point. But hey, Thank God we managed to do this so we could bring you Mind Your Business. Please take away what message is in this for you. Check on the links that I have provided for her as well, and let's just spread the word. Even if it's not something we need for ourselves, please share with other people and let us all be blessings unto each other. Until I come your way again next week, same time, Tuesday at 12 noon GMT on our YouTube channel, The Fabulous Woman Network. It is ta.